AJ, I know you know what date it is today. What day is it today?
Wednesday, baby.
No, you're wrong. You're wrong. What day is it?
July 14th, baby.
No, you're wrong. What is it?
It's Mo Truck and Hump Day.
Hump Day. Hey, what do you hope people are doing at their age? Humping.
Taxes.
Say that every time. Oh
Taxes,
yeah, well, actually,
bills.
it's a little bit late for taxes, my friend.
You're gonna jump on next year's
Catching up
taxes.
on taxes?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
All right. Everyone, let's just do the hump. Start the show.
The Humpty Hump.
This is PSVR Gamescast Live, where we film live every single Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, 6 p.m. Eastern. My name's Brian Fall from this channel right here. So happy it's Hump Day. And the guys to my right, the boys, Dave from Dave Station, the VR.
Wow.
The V.
Not gonna lie, turn myself
I can
on
do
just a
two
little
Vulcan. It took me a while to figure out how to do the Vulcan thing with this hand. Some hands are just better at doing things. You know, this one was easy. I was just like, oh, I'll do that.
You
I
nailed
trained
that.
my other hand to do that one. But he never does like a double leg. What up, bro? Anyways.
And that guy on the right-hand side of the screen is AJ from The Underground, PSVR, on the ground.
What is up, Brian? What is up, Dave? What is up, Game Cats in the chat? I see you there. It's looking so lovely. You know, I'm really bad at improvisation, if you haven't noticed, which is why I never say to improvise anything around me.
Improvisation.
Improvisation.
I like to improvise.
I can't even improvise improvisation.
Wow.
Improvisation is apparently the art of getting words out of your mouth properly.
Right. It's also known as speaking. I'm just bad at speaking.
Yeah, just make it up as you go along.
Hey guys, we had a ton of cool stuff to talk about today, but we want to make sure we kick off the show good and proper with a little bit of housekeeping. We want to make sure that all of you out there have already joined our Discord. That link is in the description below. If you don't know what it is, it's just a cool place to hang out. It's where this conversation happens 24/7, so make sure you click that link, join us on Discord, say what's up, we'll say what's up back. That's how conversations work. AJ will improvise. It'll be fucking awesome. Also,
Script.
Oh, I'm going to read off the script.
I need a
wrote a script for
teleprompter
the whole episode.
Yeah, good,
previous
because
to
I need a
this. Like,
teleprompter every
I wasn't working at work today. I was writing my own script.
Gamescast moving forward. Teleprompter, please.
nice.
Where's my makeup guy too?
She's getting
Or girl?
expensive around here. you're the most expensive employee we have.
And he doesn't cost any money.
Right,
Anyways.
no one gets paid anything around here.
Yeah, no,
Guys,
we don't.
Don't forget, if you want that your name added to that list on the bottom of the screen, make sure you head on over to patreon.com/Parole Games and hook us up with $1 or more every single month. That's all you get for right now is your name on that list. But don't worry, it goes by like 200 times a week. We do this all week long. So thank you very much for all your support. We love you dearly.
Yeah, it's funny actually. Brian, instead of counting sheep when he's trying to fall asleep, he just thinks in his mind that list of game cats because it's been emblazoned into his brain, and he just thinks about each of you guys hopping over the Patreon fence, and it's like,
instead of saying one sheep, two sheep, I go,
like,
Sergeant Frosty.
Oh, I won't die of hunger. I won't die of hunger. I
Paul,
won't have to go work in a restaurant. I can't think.
Brian.
Yeah.
Joe Grover. Yeah, that's all I do. Yep.
Yes, exactly.
So
AJ is tired of this bit.
So if it doesn't make you uncomfortable that I whisper your name while I'm laying in bed, then Patreon.com/Parole Games. AJ, what kind of news stories do we have today?
I'm so glad you asked, Brian. It's a little bit of a slow news week. So we had to make our own news by reaching into the bag of viewer takeover questions. And we got some cool topics, though. But first, there is something that I thought was interesting that caught my attention, and that is Road to VR. Posted an article this morning that says VR content revenue grew by 30% in 2020, becoming media's fastest growing market. And he goes on to say, by Scott Hayden, virtual reality gained an impressive ground in 2020. A recent PwC study finds global VR content revenues reportedly increased by around 30% year over year, beating out film, traditional video games, and music. Wow. And so I thought this was interesting. I'm wondering if they're talking about the growth rate, because you wouldn't expect.
It's not overall market share; it's growth rate,
right?
Which is why in the article they call out, they're like, this seems like a big deal, and it is for VR, but like that's just the growth rate. Of course, movies didn't grow by 30% over the past year. Like, no, they didn't. Of course they didn't.
Yeah.
So, it makes sense kind of. It's the only one positioned to be a growth market, really. So it makes sense that it is. But I hope it, keeps up at this pace and, eventually everybody's got a VR headset. That'd be nice.
Excellent point about all that. Yeah, this past year probably isn't the year to compare things to when talking about growth rates. Everything else is definitely down. If you imagine, like, you couldn't go to a concert for the last year and a half, you could barely go see a movie for the last year and a half. What you could do was stay at home and play video games. So that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. Well, and that's why Quests wouldn't stay on the shelves, and PSVRs have been out of stock and stuff too. I think people are like, well, I'm stuck in my house. What am I going to do here? I guess I'll play mini golf with my friends or play Star Wars Squadrons or some shit.
Yeah, but just nice to see that, despite all the challenges, guys, I think it's like we're just lucky to have video games after what we faced last year. And we saw the devastation that happened to all these other media industries and everything, film. They actually have like a whole charts and all sorts of bars and graphs, and they've got cinema, music, radio, podcasts, internet advertising, all sorts of things, video games and esports, internet access, etc. I just think it's really encouraging that, VR has already had an uphill battle from the beginning, trying to introduce itself as a new medium for entertainment. So I'm just really excited that despite all these things, it is actually still growing, still developing, and it's just encouraging, man. It means that I just really hope that VR takes the path that it and fulfills the potential that it has, because as we all know, the reason we're all here, everybody watching and you guys, is that like we see something in it that it hasn't necessarily totally done yet on the outside or reached to mainstream audiences, but we know the potential is there. So just nice to see that growth still happening.
I'm just here to listen to your sultry voice.
No.
Ooh.
That's it.
All right, guys. Well, moving on. I like Road to VR. They're typically, I've always liked them because they're not like a clickbaity kind of website. So I've always appreciated what the work they do over there. And it's not a flashy thing, but they just have solid info and stuff. So I appreciate them. Okay, next, guys, Rec Room. Shout out to Rec Room. Got a significant update. And that is, it has a slew of things. Rec Room is always getting super updates left and right all the time, like once a week. But this one has something really significant, and that is they now have costumes that have full bodies. And then they also have a thing that allows you to be seated, but to adjust your height, because typically you wouldn't be able to do that. So you'd be, if you wanted to play sitting down, you'd be kind of sitting below everybody. And I thought those are two really cool updates.
And I like the second one especially, just because like if you're hanging out with people in Rec Room for a while, or we do interview shows in there and stuff, it's a lot more comfortable to be sitting down at some point. And it was always a little awkward, you couldn't find the sweet spot, and you'd look like a freak walking around,
Like this.
So that's great.
Yeah.
The pants thing is throwing me off though, because I'm so used to avatars in Rec Room looking the way that they look for years and years and years that like if I go in and people have legs, I'm gonna freak out for a minute.
So you out there are probably wondering, what do these costumes look like? So I'll tell you what they look like. I'll show you what they look like. They look like this. Now,
nice. Those legs.
I know, right? Have you guys jumped in and seen these things?
Check out those
animate?
gams.
Like we've been hovering like just disembodied bodies, like no legs, right? Like from kids.
Well, do they animate? Or are they like moving around like boop, 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 boop,
this
boop, boop,
is
boop,
what I'm
boop, boop,
asking.
boop, 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 boop.
Like I need to see this because
if you're just floating straight forward with your two little legs, that's weird.
Yeah,
Just
I mean
like
that would be
hanging off your
terrible.
body.
Yeah, if they were dragging behind you, like as if you were still a floating body, and
Like when
there were no legs in
Like
the
when
costume.
we first played. Remember when we first played Horde mode on Arizona Sunshine together, and your legs were just stuck to the floor and dragging behind you?
Yeah,
One of the worst looking things I've ever seen.
No, but if this
if
this played it up and said, "Hey, you've always been a floating torso, and your character doesn't have legs to put in the costume, so they just drag behind you," that would be actually kind of adorable, I think.
Okay, maybe so. Yeah.
So funny, man. Yeah, from the very beginning, we've always said, oh, Rec Room. I wish it had arms. I wish it had legs and stuff. It would look really cool. And now we see it, and we're like, horrified.
I don't want that. Right?
No one asked for legs. I don't think. I mean, maybe somebody did.
Oh yeah,
I don't know.
Like
they're killing it over there.
It's just it's almost like iconic at this point. Like you look at a character, and you're like, that's a Rec Room character. You look at those costumes, like if it wasn't for the faces, you'd have no idea what game you were playing. Pretty cool.
Now I'm gonna look at these guys and be like, oh, this guy's a kickboxer or something. Because he's got legs.
Right.
Why else would he have legs?
And I don't know if he's sitting down or not. So I don't know if he even has legs. It's craziness. See, it all comes together. It all comes full circle. I don't know. All right, Record. I got to check this stuff out, man. I got to check it out and see what these costumes look like in the headset. It's going to be nice.
Yeah, Rec Room's amazing, man. It's so good. It's free. Go download it. Go play it. You'd have to make like an email account, but once.
Is it still in beta? Is it still Rec Room beta?
Well, technically, yeah. Well, until it's okay, so it's one of the only free online games that doesn't require Plus, I think. Am I right about
what are
that?
The other
you don't
ones?
have to have Plus?
I thought this was the only one.
I think it's okay, then it is the only one. Well, on VR at least. And so I think that they keep that running by being technically a beta.
Oh, good point.
Because you have to actually have PS Plus to play online games otherwise. So I think that's how they've gotten through that loophole. But yeah, I think it's still just like a work in progress technically.
Cool.
I don't know.
Hey, as long as we don't have to pay, as long as we don't need Plus, that's awesome for anybody who wants to play and doesn't have Plus. AJ.
All right.
Talk to me.
And in other news, Little Witch Academia is getting a limited run game physical version July 16th, this Friday.
How much coverage can we possibly give this game?
The good thing is the review embargo is up, and now we can tell you it's really bad and don't buy it.
And we and honestly, like we would have told you, we've given you a little bit more of a heads up on that, but we actually did think it was halfway decent for a little bit. Like it gives a decent first impression, and so that's what we were delivering on before. But man, my review is going to go up either I think late night tonight. Something happened this morning. I didn't get my review done. Apologies. I know there's 7 of you that are like, "Where the hell's the review?" But man, it's not positive. It's not positive at all. It's very, very negative, and it's super overpriced. We were talking about it as if it was a $30 game for the last week. As it turns out, it's a $40 game. So all the things that suck about it.
Are you kidding?
It is $40
or the actual digital?
Yeah.
Is there a $10 price jump on the physical?
No. It's 40 digital.
Oh my god.
No, it's not.
Yeah, I got confirmation on that yesterday, and that was so all the things that kind of sucked
Alvo
about.
couldn't be 40. How the fuck is this 40?
Yeah,
that's crazy.
So all the things that kind of sucked about it, like that kind of stung when we were playing it, sting a whole lot more now that we know it's an extra $10.
No way to recommend this. Maybe I'd buy it if there was a special edition that came with a broom.
No,
if
Dave.
It came with a broom. If they had a limited edition.
And we need to move on because we've talked about Little Witch Academia way too much.
No, just to clarify though.
I just wanted to make that joke. All right.
Did we check this out? Did we find out if it's an open pre-order or what the deal is, or is it actually
pre-order? You can have as much as you want of it.
Okay. So nothing special
for a limited time.
At least there's no extra charge for it. It's the same price as it is digitally. So yep.
So that's easy to do when you charge $30 more than what it should be.
Oh, and it starts next month. I thought it was this Friday.
Dude, you know what the funniest fucking thing about this is? If you click on the limited run, on the cover, there's this big logo in the bottom left that says Internet and PlayStation Plus required for online multiplayer, which first of all, I haven't seen that big on a cover before, but the fact that people will buy this thinking that that's something I gotta have my PS Plus for the online multiplayer, and it's just printed in big fucking.
So I read the wrong date. I read the wrong date. It is this Friday, terrible. July 16th. Starts at 10 a.m. Eastern. For anyone who's interested, it's open pre-order for a month. And did we check
for anyone interested, don't buy it.
Don't buy it. Like we are not endorsing this thing whatsoever, but we do need to deliver the news one way or the other. Did we check to see about Republic?
Probably not.
Oh no, I didn't, but I will right now.
Just want to see if that thing's still available, man. Because that's the most. Yes, it is. It's still available. It's the 850 copies of Republic Anniversary Edition, Collector's Edition, PS4 and PSVR on LimitedRunGames.com, still available inexplicably.
I'm never going to be able to scalp this thing. Damn it. I was going to flip it for big bucks, and now it appears no one wants it. So, wow.
Got to give a quick shout out to Bell Ramio, the Game Cat, with the 10.99 euros. He says, gonna leave you alone in a bit because of sleep, but we'll watch tomorrow. Well, listen, you lay down in bed, you read some Patreon-supported names, and you read them nice and quiet, and you'll drift right off to sleep, man. Just watch them go by.
Bell Ramio has a strange idea of money. He says, it's just 40. It's like a dinner in a normal place.
I mean,
excuse me?
A sushi dinner for one?
Dinner in a normal
for
place.
2 people? And in what normal place? I mean, I guess, yeah, but like...
That's like if I feed a Super Bowl party. That's how much I spend.
Yeah, it's a bunch of wings, man.
Wow.
All right, guys, can we move on?
Oh, please.
Before we lose everything. Before we lose all of our viewers.
Yes.
All right, guys. So this brings us, Brian, to our topic of the day, which is a important discussion to be had regarding the future of PlayStation VR. And want to do some critical thinking around some points for PSVR 2. You want to go ahead and kick it off?
Sure thing. This topic comes to us from Billy Pod, the Game Cat, on PSVR this week. Writes, hashtag viewer takeover. It's obvious that Sony is looking to push VR forward with PSVR 2 and give gamers what they want, including analog sticks on controllers and haptics for added immersion. What other lessons do you think Sony learned from 5 years of working with the current PlayStation VR hardware? I mean, this is such a loaded question.
I mean, it's also like, to some degree to be like, oh, what did they learn from their past failings? It's not like they were past failings at the time. They sort of did kind of the best they could, I think, when they entered the market. That, like, to get people something affordably that they could afford to produce themselves and have solid experiences. Like, at the time, Quest wasn't dominating the market, and it was like a pretty good value and a good option with Sony exclusives and all kinds of stuff like that. So, like, I think what they've learned is just to keep an eye on what else is happening out there and just incorporate it. Like, people want, inside out tracking. People want these features in the headset that weren't really an idea back then. Like, nobody really thought about that when they were implementing this thing originally. So I think they did what they could pretty well at the time. But, like, I don't know, there's still obviously things that we know about that they've put in that just make sense.
Right.
Thumbstick, haptics. Maybe it'll shake your face. That one I didn't expect, honestly.
Well, but, looking at the chat even, it looks like Old Darth has a good one to kick it off with. And I think he said PSVR 2 lesson number 1. No more 1 or 2 hour games or demos. And I've got to kind of agree with that. I think at the beginning of all of this, Sony was pretty convinced that nobody wanted to stay in VR for multiple hours at a time. No one was going to put on the headset in the morning and take it off at night, and they were going to be an all-day VR gamer. I think somebody even said that. I don't know if it was Shu or somebody else. I forget. But as it turns out, VR became a preferred way to play video games for a lot of us, and a very, very solid.
We're sitting here right now.
Absolutely. And a very solid secondary way to play video games for others. So lots of people aren't just putting it on to experience something quick and try out something. A lot of people are putting it on to play full-fledged games. And I think that when you kick off a headset launch with the idea that no one's going to want to play this for more than an hour at a time, well, then you're maybe off on the wrong trajectory.
Well, but that was the understanding of people back then. They didn't think we could handle this stuff. They were like, okay, we got to be as careful as possible with this, and like this might not work, and that kind of thing. And so they were holding themselves back on our behalf. And now it's like, nah, we can handle it. Just give us whatever. Give us the full deal. Yeah, and I think they understand that now.
People have been very vocal about wanting full length, full featured like adventures that are on par with flat screen games, and I think those are really important for selling headsets, and then the indie scene can kind of continue to help. It's like the trickle down thing but I think if you want to sell systems, you're not selling PSVRs with really small indie games most of the time. You're not. Yeah. That's not usually how it works. You sell them with the big titles, and then you make them stay with the indie titles and stuff. So it's going to be really important for Sony to like figure out what they want to invest in, and And the good thing is they've had lots of examples of what's been working and what hasn't been working. There was stuff that, as much as I'd like to say just any AAA game would work, when I think back to like Riggs or like Eve Valkyrie and stuff, I'm like, to me, those were kind of very close to AAA, and those didn't do it. So it's going to be important for them to invest in AAA games that will also be stuff that people, maybe find some connection with the audience.
Yeah, I think the timing was a big part of that too, though, because those are both games that kind of require like an online player base to stay vibrant and viable.
Yeah.
And there just wasn't. I mean, it was just only early adopters in those either of those games. And so I think if they had come out as they were 2-3 years later into the PSVR's life cycle, there might still be an active player base for Eve Valkyrie. You know what I mean? Like if those games came out when people already had the headset, they'd be like, "Oh wow, we've all got this thing. Let's play this cool new game." But
I think it would have had a better
at a certain point,
sure.
yeah, like the player base wasn't there, and now those games seem passe because there's so much new stuff. But like, yeah, I don't know. I think now they have the player base already and the interest to have games like that do well the first time around and not have that be a concern as much. Like if there are launch titles that are exciting, people will probably get into them and buy them. Hopefully, we'll see.
Yeah, the impetus isn't just on Sony either. It's like we really, really need these AAA third-party developers to be doing their part. We'd love to see Ubisoft bring all of their big open-world games to PlayStation VR2. Give us a PlayStation VR2 mode or whatever the deal is. Which kind of brings us to the next lesson, which I think Swain Jupiter in the chat said perfectly. He said, we need a bunch of sensational launch games, a decent mix of AAA and indie. What about Rockstar titles in Village and Zing 2? And so
Zing 2, I like it.
Yeah, right, for real. And so I think what he's saying here is that we need some familiar IPs. We need things that people recognize. We need games that, don't get me wrong, Shadow Legend is great. But the only reason, if it brought people to VR, it probably brought people to VR because they mistook it for Raid Shadow Legends, right? It's a great game, but it's not a game that people go, I didn't know Shadow Legends was in VR, right? And so, and if you have a game like Uncharted in VR, that's a totally different story. People are like, oh, you can fucking play Uncharted in VR? Well, let me try that shit out.
You have 110 plus million PS4s out in the wild. The easiest way I can think of to attract people to come to VR is to appeal to that base. And you do that by adding VR to the familiar IPs, like you mentioned, of the games that they've been enjoying. And then now they get to say, oh, this is my favorite game. Now I get to play this in this new way. That sounds really exciting to them. You gotta do things that are exciting. And that is one thing that is instantly relatable, instantly flashy, and name recognition. There's so many times where brand name recognition, Creed, Rise to Legend, or Rise to Glory, is going to instantly do so much better than what could potentially be a superior game. It just, name recognition alone gets a lot of things.
Right, and we're not talking about a developer here who doesn't have a lot of like amazing IPs under their belt. Sony's even got a few that have been lying dormant for a while, and you've got to wonder, you'd be like, Sony, what are you doing with Resistance: Fall of Man? What are you doing with Infamous? What are you doing with Jack and Dexter? I don't fucking know, but like, there's got to be a reason why we haven't heard of these games since the beginning. Killzone, since the beginning of the PlayStation 4 generation, which was like 7 years ago. Like, what are they doing with these games? Why are they laying dormant? Maybe the last one they made didn't sell all that well, but here's your chance to take something that is now like near and dear to the hearts of a lot of your audience and bring it back in a cool new way. If you were scared that it wouldn't sell on the flat screen, well, I'll tell you something. It's probably going to sell in VR.
Yeah, Tetris. I know so many people that bought headsets. I know it sounds crazy, and I kind of underestimated the power of Tetris, but so many people I know bought a VR for Tetris. Yeah, man.
One cool thing to think about too, as far as launch games, is like everybody with a PS5, which will obviously be required for a PSVR2, has played or seen Astrobot. The character is aware of him. It came for free on your thing. That's how you learn how to use the controller. It's like even if you had no clue about VR ever and still don't, you know who Astrobot is, right? And so I think that would be an awesome launch title just because like he's got the name recognition. It's got that fun Mario vibe. And like even as like a free pack in to show off the PSVR2, you know, and then follow with a full game later or something like that. But yeah, that'd be a strong one, I think.
But it's going to be important too for if somebody that enjoys those IPs makes the jump to VR, it's going to be important for the developers to make a good, solid game as well. Because otherwise, they're going to come over and play it and be like, "Oh, VR sucks," and it's like, no, just the game sucked. So it is a very, I think, a very sensitive situation as well that could if not handled properly could go really bad. I mean, easily.
It's so much tougher with VR because like it's a whole new medium, and so like you know if you show someone a movie they don't like, they're not going to be like, oh, I don't like movies, I guess. Or if you show them a flat game they don't like, they're not going to say, oh, I don't like PlayStation games at all.
Yeah, but you do want to be this game. You want to be as positive as possible, though, right?
Yeah, but what I'm saying is like when you put somebody in VR, that's this whole new thing. If their first couple experiences don't catch them, they think, oh, I've decided, you know, I've learned what VR is and I don't like it. Because it's still so new that it's not, you can write it off way more easily than like a flat game or a movie or a piece of music or something like that.
Right. My whole point there was really just to say like you want when people play a familiar IP in VR, you want them to experience how VR and that medium enhances it or evolves it versus regresses it or whatever.
Yeah, no, that's a really good point. How it can elevate the experience of something you like already.
Like Astrobot. I mean, Astrobot, like you said, was a perfect example. I love platformers. That was like my favorite genre growing up. That's what my bread and butter was growing up. And Astrobot to me was like the next evolution of platformers and stuff. It was such an experience as well as an amazing game. I mean, it's a perfect example there.
Yeah, we also got Stephen Wilson in the chat. Oh, by the way, I want to give a shout out to Sergeant Frosty before we let this tip go too far with a $2 tip. He says, choo choo, all aboard, Frosty Express, going off the rails. Going off the
Thank you, soldier.
rails. Okay, I won't sing anymore. That was horrible. Stephen Wilson in the chat said more racing games. Now that was a 3-word comment that like totally plays into this this lesson, I think, pretty well. Even though we're talking about familiar IPs, I think familiar IPs across a wider variety of genres would be awesome. Like, let's get a Final Fantasy game in VR. Let's get more racing games in VR, Stephen was saying.
We talked about sports a lot the last show, right? And that's a huge market that's not tapped. You know, like official licensed sports games being your favorite player. Dude, people would eat that shit up.
Yeah, 100%.
I would. I mean, to your point, I was just playing Gran Turismo earlier, and for the very first time I think ever, I played in cinema mode because I was curious, and I got on a track and played in cinema mode, and I was like, man, like this is like I can see here why this is going to just be like absolutely mind blowing in the future. And I think we're not going to be we're not going to have all the limitations that PS4 and Gen 1 had. I mean, they didn't even redesign their brand new. When you said that they did the best thing that they could do for PSVR Gen 1, I yes and no. In one way, I'm like yes. In another way, I'm like, well, they didn't redesign controllers or something or redo controllers, which is why the first thing that they came out did.
Nobody knew that you needed to do that, or that the games would end up being, you know, shoehorned into this shitty control screen. Because of it, they were just like, hey, we already have like camera interactable controllers, and every other VR device in the world right now that's being developed uses camera tracked controllers. Let's just throw that thing in there. Like it makes sense. But if they could have launched it without
we can all admit it was a mistake. 5 years later, we look back and go, well, maybe they didn't realize that it was going to be a mistake. But 5 years later, we go, it was a fucking mistake. People are jumping ship left and right for analog sticks.
I just don't know if you can say, like, not having been in the room making that business decision, like what they were thinking. But in terms of like, if this was a thing where they had to do this to get this out for a reasonable price at the time that they did, I don't think it was a mistake. I think they did the right thing. Because if it hadn't come out at all, or if it hadn't been feasible, if they had to redesign new controllers that cost even more money that people didn't already own, to make it work, like it might have failed. You know what I mean? And so, or not even happened at all. So I'm just saying
they could have invested more, yes. But the thing is the good news here is that they have already acknowledged. And what's the first thing that they have showed us of PSVR2, and that is the orbs.
Like, don't worry, guys, we got it this time.
They say joysticks. Yeah. They say different types of tracking. So they have learned a lot of lessons, and they've expressed that PSVR2 is being built off a lot of lessons learned, hard lessons learned, in fact, and that is very encouraging. So
yeah, I didn't have to be in that room where they were making these decisions to tell you that this was a lesson that they had to learn eventually. As a gamer, it was a bad mistake. And it would have kept a lot more people on board for much longer. People who jump in don't have to figure out how to use the controller. Which actually, I'm going to skip around this list a little bit, which brings us to number 3, which is ease of use. Shit should be easy to use. I think the PlayStation VR1 has a mess of wires. I think the breakout box is insane. There's a camera that needs to be able to see you at all times. No analog sticks on the. I mean, AJ, how easy is it when you throw on a Quest?
It's very easy. I mean, to keep it on is another story. Right. But if it's fully charged and stuff, to just put it on once is super easy. Yeah.
Yeah, like that was my first impression when Quest came out. Quest 1 came out. I was like, yeah, I don't know. I probably don't need that.
I mean, I'm not the best example for that, Brian. I'm sorry to cut you off, but I'm not the best example because you know how hard it is for me to play PSVR. I just put it on and start playing.
Yeah,
but there are people that require actually having to put it up and take it out and stuff.
Okay, well, I'm in the same boat as you. Like mine is just sitting out ready to go at all times. Like I'm not like bouncing back and forth between that and flat screen. There. I am. Okay. It's just right there. And so
he's right there. Switching my own PSVR.
Oh, I see it.
There you go. And so, but I do when I turn it on though. When I turn it on, I have to, if I jump into a game, I turn it on. It's like, okay, now you have to set it up. You have to go to that screen. You have to see yourself and go, okay, boom. You have to make sure that you're, okay, whatever. You didn't move the camera the last time you played. You weren't playing Moss. You didn't have to move the camera down. All right, cool. And then on top of that, you turn on a move controller, and it's like, do you want to assign this move controller to you, Brian Paul? And I'm like, yes. And I turn on another move controller, and it's like, wait 5 seconds. Do you want to assign this controller to you, Brian? And so Mikey Sensei comes over, right, with the Quest 1 brand new out of the box, and he goes, you got to check this out. And he throws it on my head, and it turns on by itself, and I'm in the game. And it knows which controller, and it knows which controller is which. Like I'm not like, oh wait, hold on a second.
You gotta do
I gotta take off the wrist straps.
Yeah, no, but here's a real life. I use this like almost every other day. The Quest 2, and with the updates that they've been putting out, stuff gets broken constantly. Where like I'll have all the lights on in my room, and it's like, oh, camera's not working, and I have to like click the buttons a bunch of times. It's like, oh wait, the camera's working, and it's like we forgot where your Guardian was, and I got to do that every damn time. Sometimes it won't find one of my controllers. And this is like over the life cycle of the device, it's been deteriorating in terms of experience. Like the first day I had the thing, exactly what you said, pop it on. It remembers the Guardian. Every time it works like a charm. At this point, it's not working like that for me anymore. And like what I'll say is that Sony's been consistent in that like you always know what the rough edges are going to be. You know what it's going to take to get into a game. With the Quest, the selling point is, oh, it's so easy, and then it starts introducing these weird little hiccups, and you're like, fuck, I thought it was going to be easy. Yeah.
But it set a good role model at first, though. I'll say that.
It did.
Yeah, that is like...
It's like when you get a new phone. It's like, you get a new phone, it's all snappy and fast, and then like in a year or two, the apps aren't running right, and like 3 years later, it's slow as fuck, and you're like, I guess I need a new phone. Yeah. It's exactly the experience I'm having with the Quest.
Well, hold on. So that is definitely like, getting into the weeds on the Quest side, because that's like a new issue that I believe just popped up. But they have already addressed that some of the ease of use of PlayStation VR 2, and that is that this is going to be one cable that goes straight into I imagine going into the C port on the front of the PS5, and that alone is going to eliminate a lot of people. I've seen so many people go, oh, it's got a cable. Oh, I was hoping for wireless, but it is just one cable that goes in the front and stuff. and it's tethered. And people have generally understood that, even though there's that one cable and stuff, which I have a V2 headset, and it's a thin little cable and stuff, and so like it's very like it's not like intrusive at all, obtrusive, and but the I think the trade-off here is that you're going to get really powerful stuff, like it's using the power of the PlayStation 5. But yeah, the ease of access is going to be a big deal, and that is something that they have already addressed as well.
Yeah, I do want to give a shout out to Donatello dreaming about PSVR2 GameCat in the chat for suggesting this one. He said it must be easier to set up and play, just like picking up a controller, and I 100% agree. It'd make it super easy for people, and then they'll be less hesitant to jump in and buy new games.
No breakout box is going to be a big one.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I want to give a shout out also to J Meow with the $2 tip. It says no more frustrating barriers like Hitman 3's grid. 100%. This is something that kind of comes along for the ride, right? Like how many times has the camera or the game thinks the camera can't see you just because it's like something's not operating right, in the game code. And it's like, even though you're standing right there and the camera can obviously see you, there's your boundary box, and you're like, how the fuck do I get rid of this? Oh, I have to reset the game because it's just not happening. You're holding down the reset button, everything, and nothing's happening. This is one of the many things that kind of goes along with ease of use, pick up and play, no worries about any of this extraneous BS that's going to come along for the ride.
It's definitely more on the developer side for that one, anyways, specifically.
But think about when it happens because you are outside of the tracking range. Now you don't have to worry about that either.
Right.
So either way, whether it's your fault, their fault, anybody's fault, it doesn't happen anymore.
Inside out tracking. Yeah, and ease of use applies to the just tracking, the gameplay tracking as well. Right. Not necessarily staying within the boundaries and stuff, but that's like one of the biggest complaints that people have is tracking issues, the drift and tracking and stuff. And yeah, I mean, I have a pretty good setup and I'm still not like completely immune from those issues. And mine is like really good most of the time, but I definitely experience it from time to time, despite doing everything right setup wise.
The sale of green light bulbs went up 20% over the last 5 years.
Oh man.
Yeah. And that brings us to number 4.
Number 2, 3. Wait, hold on.
Yeah, we swapped.
Number 3.
Number 4.
Number 4.
Number
we
4.
Did write the whole show down ahead of time, didn't we?
We do try our best here. And number 4 needs better marketing, man. And Dave's gone on about this quite a bit, and AJ's gone on about this quite a bit.
Yeah, that's my rant.
And I 100% agree. Do you think that Sony is going to be able to keep up with something like the Quest marketing, which has seemingly taken over like everything?
I sure hope so.
I'm trying to think, what is the best recent Sony flat ad you've seen? Have you seen a Sony flat ad? Like for a game that's specific or for the PS5? I'm trying to think because like I see Quest ads, like I say, on TV, when watching sports or whatever, but I don't know if I've seen like a Horizon Zero Dawn ad or something, back in the day or whatever. Like it just seems like they don't focus on it as much in terms of the typical models of advertising people use, to get the word out to everybody. Like they'll make a blog post about something instead of making a TV ad about it. It's like, come on, guys. So I don't know. That just seems like their MO. Hopefully they'll tune it up for VR and get the word out. But there's
really
already big budget AAA games I don't see them pushing. I never saw a Returnal ad on TV.
I feel like I saw Returnal ads constantly on YouTube.
On YouTube, maybe. Okay, yeah. I mean, that might be where they're focusing their ad budget.
Do people watch TV still?
I mean, I think putting stuff in a sports game is the best way you can get mainstream people to notice it.
So something other than a typical commercial, just like plastic there on the sidelines.
Yeah, that's why people pay so much for Super Bowl spots, because like everybody sees it. Yeah.
I really hope one of the things I've been most critical on this first gen of VR has been the marketing strategies and stuff, and just it's more about the little things. Even with this past state of play, like I've been really frustrated with their marketing. We excuse me. We had the PSVR Spotlight, which was great for us who already know about VR, who already like dedicate lots of time and stuff to to making sure we're kept up with all the latest PSVR news. But nobody outside of us really saw that or really noticed that. And that's just another example. And that was not very long ago. That was a month or two ago or something. And so that tells me that they're still not quite there yet. I mean, you've got games like Fract, Arashi, Sniper Elite VR. A Sniper Elite is a name that everybody knows. Is a game that everybody has heard of, even if they haven't played it. They go, oh, that rings a bell. And they showed Moss at the State of Play, which I'm super happy about. Absolutely, I love Moss. I think it's a fantastic game and everything. And I think mascots are a great way to get people into games and stuff. They go, oh, who's that cute little thing? Where do I go play it and stuff? But I also think it was a big mistake. Almost like leading with Moss versus like showing maybe another indie game and then building up to it, starting with VR. For those who aren't interested in VR, like it frustrates them. You don't want to frustrate the audience. And this was the mistake that they made from the very first State of Play, where they ditched E3, they ditched PlayStation Experience, and what did they do? They shoved 20 VR games into that State of Play. Great for us, but it was a bad idea. Even as somebody that was super excited about this, I knew that was going to get a lot of backlash. So I just and I feel like even with this Moss Book 2 thing, I mean, luckily it had a little bit more positive reception this time around. But I still think like just the little things, like they could have probably waited like a game or two before showing off Moss instead of leading with it.
I think in one very quick motion, they changed, or at least put all three of our minds at ease. I think so anyway. Maybe I could be wrong. Let me know if I'm wrong. But I think by doing one simple action like that, and when I say our three minds, I like fucking hundreds of cats out there too. We were all sitting there going, oh, what about PSVR1, man? Like, did you guys, what's going on? It's like we're not just gonna show you a game during State of Play. We're not just going to give you a release date. We're going to announce a new game that you're all super excited for. It's going to be PlayStation VR, and we're going to kick off the show with it. It's like, to me, that's like saying, hey guys, we got your back, without saying a fucking word. Right?
But we already bought PSVRs. What about the people that haven't bought a PSVR?
I'm definitely on Brian's side with this. So, like, people are going to backlash about any VR game at any point you put it in the presentation.
True.
And so if you lead with it, it excited the fuck out of PSVR owners to see the first thing out of the gate. Like, we were shouting, like, oh my God, yes. Yeah. And like, if they had put it, 10 in, we still would have been excited. But for us, it's like a wink. It's like, we still got you guys. And people are going to be pissed either way. So why not just do it that way, right? Like, it's the simplest way to get people excited. And if you're going to get the backlash, just take it.
Let's talk about two ways that
what about the... Go ahead. Sorry. Two ways. What?
No. You were about to say something related to what we were talking about. I was going to move on. You tell me.
Well, okay. I was going to say, but what about so you show Moss or something? What about these games that I mentioned about the Spotlight? Instead of having those sprinkled through State of Plays, or there were other State of Plays that happened recently, or there were other events with video showcases and stuff. That I thought really deserved a spotlight. The first thing they do when they see a third-person game is they go, "Why is that VR? Why is this in VR?" To that mainstream audience. I know what they did is good for us. I'm talking about getting people that aren't into VR yet, and stuff.
They're not going to do that in the State of Play, man. Wherever they put Moss, if they put Moss 8th, 3rd, 1st, 10th. It's not going to convince people, regardless of the placement.
Sniper Elite. You don't think putting Sniper Elite should have been sprinkled into
which
State of Play
include, but I think starting with Moss was the right idea. That's what I'm talking about.
I'll let that go. But having something like Sniper Elite, which people go, oh, Sniper Elite's coming to PSVR. Oh, you know what I mean? People that don't already have VR. Okay, that's my only point there. Let's continue, Brian.
Okay. Well, let's talk about two things that wouldn't alienate PlayStation 4 flat screen gamers, and would also be really, really good to get people into VR and convince people to buy VR and make sure that PSVR1 fans are interested in buying PSVR2. And the first thing I can think of is a dedicated State of Play that's all for VR. Good idea or bad idea?
Well, if I yeah, I mean, State of Play, their recipe for success has been setting expectations. Something like the Spotlight, again, referencing the PSVR Spotlight, where you had not only take both Spotlights, where you had Doom 3 and Zenith and then mix this other one that had Sniper Elite and all these other games. Yeah, those should have had their own state of play versus being a two different separate PS blog posts all day, every day. I will say that. Yes, absolutely.
Well, yeah, as long as people know ahead of time that it's gonna be a VR focused state of play, because if people are expecting, like you said, setting expectations,
Right.
the reason there was so much initial backlash the very first time that they put a lot of VR in it is because people weren't expecting that, and that's not what they wanted. And so if you say, get the messaging out there, like, hey guys, this state of play is going to be VR, so don't fucking show up if you're not interested. It's exactly just VR. Come hang out if you want that.
Yeah.
I think that's the best thing they could do, is just let it be known beforehand instead of surprising people with it, because a lot of people don't like surprises in the chat, in the Sony channel. You know what I mean?
So first of all, I have to say that Glacia's streams in the chat is like totally distracting me. The chat.
What does he have to do over there?
Everybody in the chat right now is fucking incredible and funny, and I just like, I'm reading your chat and I'm trying desperately to run a show.
Always,
but it's you guys are awesome. But moving on. So here, this is going to be maybe controversial. Fuck VR specific state of plays. I want VR to be shoved into everybody's face. I want VR games to be shown during state of plays, peppered in, not even have their own little VR segment. Just be like, hey, let's start it with this, and then throw it in the middle and throw it at the end, and just kind of, because they need to be in people's faces. If you want to sell VR, you need to equate them with flat screen games. You need to give them a level playing field and not push them off to the side even further than they already are and say, hey, if you're interested in VR, come check this thing out. No, if you're interested in Sony, you're watching State of Play, and we're putting fucking VR games right in your fucking face. Wow, I'm swearing a lot.
I'm willing
today.
to backtrack on this one. I'm willing to backtrack on this one. Actually, I think you might be more right than I was there.
That was actually in the back of my mind. Was that like, so I would prefer a VR dedicated state of play over the PlayStation blogs. But I think the best thing you could do is to sprinkle VR games, as if, sprinkle it in. Have Sony could showcase their variety, their arsenal with AAA games, with indie games, with VR games. Show the variety that you have to offer. Show why the platform is so strong with that depth of it, and something for everybody. But what do? They show these little indie games, and then, which are fine. I like indie games, but
I know, I agree with you.
But,
you're on the right track.
Yeah, but yeah, I agree. You sprinkle it in. You don't call it a state of play it was kind of like a bait and switch with the very first state of play. Everyone's like, oh, this is Sony's new Nintendo Direct thing that they're doing, and then it's all VR, and that pissed everybody off, and I will never let that go.
But let's keep pissing people off. Let's keep pissing people off. Well, so Sony doesn't care about downvotes, right? Like, downvote the fuck out of it. Who cares? We're put it in our face and show people what you have to offer.
There is some merit in beating people over the head with something they don't realize they want yet until they realize they want it. And so, for sure.
Real quick shout out to Hugh Guyver with the Australian $5. He writes, pizza, money. Cross PSVR without parole. Cousin Max says, hi, fire. Hey, shout out to Cousin Mac.
I don't know how do you interpret that equation? Because it looks like there's some... Okay,
42.
So the parenthetical part of it.
It means 40. It's 42. That's the answer. Okay. Save you some time.
It equals. So if you solve for PSVR without parole, then you get the fire. Okay, I got it. Yeah, I got
it. But yeah, I mean, I think to be fair, you have to balance it out, man. Have a AAA game in there, have some indie games in there, have some VR games in there, and just balance it out. Just spread it out a little bit. Keep people engaged. Keep people, for those who haven't seen what they want to see yet, they'll eventually be rewarded for sticking around and seeing it.
Now, and I want to say to a quick point. We talked about it earlier, and I wanted to bring this up, but I kind of forgot. You're talking about the big AAA games, and we need those to get people in the door. But then the indie stuff for people to help them stick around. Mm-hmm. And like initially, we said like, we don't need these 2-hour experiences. We don't want that crap anymore. But to me, so like I just bought this Switch game called Sayonara Wild Hearts. It's a 2-hour game. I knew that going into it, and it is great, and I love it, and like I would buy it in VR and play the fuck out of it in VR, and I don't care that it's 2 hours because I know what I'm getting, and it provides a certain experience. Like I'm glad Bonfire exists, and I hope they release a sequel to it.
I don't think that was the
like,
point we were making there, Dave.
No,
the,
but
the
I
point
just want to
was
be
that
specific.
those,
I want to be specific with what our viewpoint is here. That we don't need to get rid of indie games at all.
No,
we should still have
nobody. Nobody ever said that. But you didn't go out and buy a Switch for Sayonara Wild Hearts, is what our point is. Like those are.
I bought it for all the Mario games and stuff.
Yeah. Well, that's
Exactly.
and that's great, right? But since you have it for all the Mario games,
yeah.
Nintendo hasn't been shy about bringing us like big Nintendo games like over and over, mostly Wii U ports. But whatever, just like they keep bringing them and bringing them and bringing them. Like we got these big games to play. That's great. But then between those releases, you have a ton of smaller games to play, and that same thing was happening with PlayStation VR, but the distance between the big games just got further and further and further apart as time went on, it seemed. And like we'd go for like months, 6 to 8 months at a time, like, we haven't gotten a fucking big game in like half a year. So it's fine. Like, bring as many indie games as possible, as long as you have enough AAA games to kind of like take care of the meat of our VR experience.
Yeah, the unfortunate flip side of that is when we haven't had any games for like 6 months and we get used to that, and then there's like 6 games in 1 week, and we're just like, oh my god, what am I gonna do?
Welcome to summer 2021.
That's the other thing, man.
It's a good problem to have, but it's a problem.
Sort of.
Shout out to Genetic Blasphemy with the $5 tip. Sorry to cut you off. Putting Moss 2 up front was a respectful nod to PSVR. So Sony's errors are at least improving.
Their errors are getting better.
That's the unexpectedly hilarious.
Out of life. That's the best you can ask for out of life.
Guys,
you're fucking up a little bit better.
The last part of this whole needs better marketing bullet point here that we've got is that we've said it over and over. Like, it's not, YouTube ads might be fine, TV ads might be fine, getting into sports games fine, but really getting it on people's heads is really where things are going to like make the difference. And even if it's going to be a slow movement, but having kiosks, making sure you're set up in every video game store possible, just, I know we're at the tail end of COVID here, tail end for some of us, tail end, not tail end for others, but like it's time. People are starting to get out there again, and they're going to be starting to feel more comfortable about putting a headset on. And so getting a PSVR2 headset on every single person that walks through your store is going to be super important to get people to be like, holy shit, VR's come a long way in the last 5 years.
Yeah, I mean, even for me, like when I first got into it, like I don't know that I would have bought one if I hadn't tested it out in Best Buy first and played Eve Valkyrie and a couple other games in their little demo kiosk. And same thing with just VR in general. Like I tried one out in the Microsoft store that had like Tilt Brush and Space Pirate Trainer on it. And I was like, oh, I played with the developer kit of the Oculus. It was nothing like this. This is like there, I was sold already. But if I hadn't done that, I don't know if I'd even have ever purchased one.
There are two big ways that you get people to play and try VR. One is friends. Like going over to a friend's house and playing it. Number two, I will take you all the way back to 1995.
Wow, you sound like Casey Kasem or something.
Where I played my first PlayStation from a demo kiosk in Sears or Circuit City when that was a thing, or Blockbuster or whatever those things. That's how I first found out what PlayStation, what Sega Saturn, what all those things is, well before what VR was. Or VR. Just video games in general. That's how I got in the door with those next gen consoles, was playing those demo kiosks. So yes, a great example for VR, even more so because you can't express what it's hard to like watching somebody playing VR or watching gameplay doesn't do it justice to what it's actually like to wear the headset. It is such a big difference. But these are traditional things that have existed well before VR. They're just more important for VR for actually being in there. But this is the same kind of deal here.
Another thing that's an interesting way to get people into, but I think an important one that I hope keeps being a valid market for people to develop for is like I've seen these things where like at a movie theater, they'll just have like a VR experience to go with whatever, like some movie that's out, that's a big IP, whatever, like the G.I. Joe experience. And it's going to be crappy probably or whatever. Yeah. But like to get people in headsets and be like, whatever, like in places like that where they're not expecting to look for that. Like, so if there's a guy in GameStop with a PSVR saying, hey buddy, you want to try out this PSVR? You may or may not. But like if you're with your kids at the movie and they want to, oh my god, I want to try out that VR game with the Terminator in it. You know, like that's a different entryway, but I think still a way to get people in headsets that isn't just like, you know, direct marketing like that.
I first played House of the Dead at a movie theater.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. The arcade at the
Yeah.
movie theater is where I tried out a lot of my first arcade games.
Yeah.
And that's not as big a thing anymore, but
No.
it is a revenue stream because they could charge more for stuff like that than they can for a you know, $1 arcade game. They could charge $15 for a 10-minute thing or something.
Obviously, you're gonna have to adapt to the times, but that is a thing, you know.
What G-word did I say?
Off-core, J. Bain Art. Whew, that was tough to say. I don't know why. £5 says, wanted to support, but hasn't been easy as a self-employed artist. I think I got that right. Maybe I could sponsor an episode one day. Like the stream too, cats. Yeah, click like, guys. Do that thing, do the YouTube thing. He writes, orbs, meow, puke, lick.
Wow.
Nice.
Thank
you so much, Off-core. Yeah, guys.
That or he's just killing it, Brian.
Maybe he's totally killing it. All right, guys, and then the final way that final lesson that we hope Sony has learned from PlayStation VR1 and will implement PSVR2 is an improved social aspect. Again, we go back to Quest quite a bit, talking about like things that we've sort of been taught over the last few years. But when PSVR2 comes out, if we could have something like an integrated PlayStation Home app, you turn it on and you're in your apartment rather than you're in a menu screen or something, I think that would go a long way for people to be like, this is fucking cool, man. I want to customize my apartment.
Well, yeah, and if you had like special trophies for each game that had like something on it that represented like the game, a little like insignia for the game on your shelf, I might actually start looking for trophies. You know,
I'd come by your house, I'd knock on your door, I'd be like, hey,
yeah,
where's all your trophies, company theme song?
I've been slacking. I'll get some more. I swear, next time you come over, I'll have a better place.
Right? Where's your platinums? I don't have any. I'll bring some of mine over. I'll decorate my place, your place with my trophies.
Somebody in the Ask Dave channel was like, hey, how many platinums do you have? And I was like, none. And they looked me up, and apparently I'm the only person in the top 100 PSVR players, trophy-wise, that has 0 platinums.
Oh, wow.
I just have so many bronzes and silvers and golds that it like elevated
That's
me.
so respectable. You should never get a platinum ever. You should just maintain that very
you should get the number one
Kinda how I
spot
rock it,
without a single platinum.
Yeah, dude.
That's
possible, maybe.
But yeah, I mean, you know, for me, the biggest thing I want to see, social. I think there's a catch with the social thing, though. I think one thing that can propel a social experience is also being free, like Rec Room.
It should be built into the platform as a Sony.
Yes,
like it should not be an app you purchase at all.
Right.
It should be on the UI is built into that. Like
right, and that's I think that can help do it. But I would pay for some applications like I've said over and over, expressed my interest in I stopped going to movie theaters last year. And I think it'd be a really cool alternative, especially if this is something we continue to deal with, to be able to go to a movie theater with your friends in VR, in the thing, pay for a movie. All these movie rental services stuff that were on PS4, I just started finally using them, and then now I go to PS5 and they're removed. So I would love to have the alternative to be able to go and watch movies and stuff.
Even just like putting on YouTube with your friends or like Spotify or something,
YouTube.
Just hanging out, just like being in your apartment.
All the cats could be watching us right now in a theater or something, or something, and hanging out and socializing while watching the show and interacting and stuff. And it would just elevate the experience overall.
I mean, when I first got big screen, that I suggested that a few times. I know we don't have enough Quest owners out there, and it's not like a reliable enough thing that people want to do it every week. But like that was my first idea when I was in big screen. I was like, oh my God, it'd be so fun to have like a watch party for the fans in here where they can talk to each other with avatars instead of like typing on the chat, it's a whole different experience.
Yeah, we've sort of seen the sports thing be a little bit touch and go. Multivitamin Orange in the chat says, I want more live events in VR. PSVR used to support NBA games, but it doesn't anymore.
Oh, yeah, that was the Next VR app, Next VR.
I think so, yeah.
Sporting
events, concerts, like anything where just like you just can't get there because of geography, like actual physical distance. Buy a ticket, buy a virtual ticket. I'm sure it'd be way cheaper than an actual ticket, and then come hang out with me and watch My Chemical Romance in October.
They're already
coming.
filing patents for stuff like that for concerts and stuff. So, Sony has a big reach. They're not just a gaming company. They do all sorts of stuff. Music label, TV label.
As far as VR stuff we've seen from them. So like I saw the Joshua Bell thing that they did, and that was like pretty well done. Like it's in terms of like watching a performance in VR. Yeah. It looked really crisp. You could move around the room.
That was a download, though, right? That wasn't live, right? Just
It was, but to me, so what I've seen from Oculus is I tried to watch a 2 Chainz concert on 420, and it was terrible. It was like the worst fucking thing. Like it was so not immersive, super choppy, very pixely. The environment you were in blocked the screen, and the screen was really zoomed in. So sometimes he just walked to the left of the stage, and you couldn't see him. And it's like, I think Sony could do a better job than Oculus is doing right now because they're fucking dropping the ball, essentially, with this kind of, like, experience,
Yeah. But there's so much potential here. So much potential. And, we've been talking about it for so long. And actually, just to kind of put a cap on this list that we've been talking about, the three of us have sort of had these conversations about all these different aspects at one point or another over the course of the last 5 years. And of course, these conversations are heating up the closer we get to PSVR2. My concern is that like Sony's dropped the ball plenty of times. And I'm just a little bit nervous that like, as much as we hope they learn these lessons to kind of give us the best possible experience for PSVR2, I'm a little concerned. And those concerns won't go to rest until we hear more about PlayStation VR2. Luckily, it sounds like that's going to be happening pretty soon. But man, I'm not going to lie, I'm kind of nervous. And I've got my fingers crossed big time. I've got my toes crossed. I got Tornado crossing her toes. Man, it's like we got all sorts of cross things over here. How do you
cross your toes? You have long toes, man. I can't cross my toes.
You want to see my toes? They're almost like fingers.
No, don't show feet. Don't show feet. Save it for Patreon.
No feet?
And OnlyFans.
Also, not wearing pants. So glad you stopped me midway. I was like,
oh God, keep it above the belt, please.
Brian, you were closing it out the conversation so beautifully, Brian. What happened?
All right, you guys. You know what that means? It's time for the end of the show, which means it's time for PSVR 20 questions. And it's Wednesday, which means Dave's in the middle of the screen. It must be Dave's turn.
That's me.
If you guys don't know how this game is played, Dave's picking a game, PlayStation VR game, and AJ and I and everybody in the chat have 20 yes or no questions to figure out what the game is.
Indeed you do.
I'm gonna put 6 minutes up on the clock. Yeah, you keep track of the number of questions, and let's go. I'm gonna ask my typical starting off question: has this developer made other VR games, other PlayStation VR games specifically?
Yes, they have.
Oh, good.
Does it have move support?
No.
Same question for aim support.
No.
Same question.
I'm actually double checking.
Wait, are you really going to ask that?
Pause it.
Don't ask that.
I'm double checking moves because I got to be 100% sure on this one.
Okay, we're
double checking moves. I don't think you can, but I want to be honest here.
AJ, were you really going to ask DualShock 4, or should we just assume if it doesn't have move or aim? I don't want to waste the question if we don't have to.
Actually, no. I'll say okay. I know how to reword it.
Dear Cynthia Cartwright, why aren't you watching this show? Why are you sending me Facebook messages? Why aren't you watching the show?
I was right. There is no move support.
Okay, so is it DualShock 4 only?
Yes.
Okay, good. So definitely DualShock 4. Is there locomotion in this game? Let's find out if you're moving at all.
Yes, quite a bit of it actually.
Okay.
Is it let's see, lots of locomotion. Do you fly in this game?
No, you don't.
Okay. Now, AJ, let's remember, these people have made other PSVR games before.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So what, you want to try to narrow down the developer, or do you want to go a different route?
I would ignore that answer. If I'm giving you a hint, I would.
Yeah,
I
always go for.
So it's not Survios. Okay.
Game.
It's not Survios.
Okay,
no, I'll tell you that.
That wasn't a question, but we got a freebie. Sweet.
No, I'll give you a freebie. Yeah.
Okay.
Because this is a hard one. So.
Are you primarily in a vehicle in this game?
I'd say yes. Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
We would call the thing you're in a vehicle usually.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, it does. I don't know, man. We'll see. We'll see.
Okay,
It does move you. You're in a thing that
Okay.
moves. That's mechanical. Yes. I give you way too big of a hint. Fuck.
Yeah,
All
right?
Keep going. What's the next one? What's the next
It
one?
can't be Iron Man again.
No, it's not iron. But stop doing that where I confirm that without you asking me a question.
Hey, listen. I'm going to use any advantage I can get.
Okay.
I suck at this game.
You
somehow.
guys are on number 8 next. That's going to be 8.
Okay.
Is it a shooting game?
No.
You don't shoot. There's no shooting.
Okay. Is it playable outside of VR?
I'll need to check.
Okay, let me pause.
Pause the timer.
Lots of locomotion.
I believe it is. Hold on. Let me double check.
How do we get question 8? All we have is lots of locomotion in DualShock 4 only so far.
But we know a lot of things that it's not.
Yeah. We need to start finding things
I'm
that
pretty
it is.
sure. I'm pretty sure you can play flat screen mode. Yes, you can. I found a Reddit thread. You can.
Can
Now
you
you're
play
on
flat
question.
screen as well?
You can. Yes.
Okay. Hold on a second. Is it first person?
Yes.
Okay, that eliminates.
I think that's number 10. I might be off by 1.
Is this a trippy game?
No.
Psychedelic trippy?
No, it's not.
It's first person, DualShock 4 only. There's a lot of locomotion. You're kind of in a vehicle of some kind. Developer has made. Let's go ahead.
Is it an interactive movie?
No.
Is there any element of rhythm to this game?
Nope.
What was I gonna ask? See, it's first person using some kind of vehicle. Yeah, you said there's no rhythm game thing. So, is it an arcade style game?
No. Not specifically.
What are we at?
This will be 15. The next
Shit,
one.
we're getting close. We're not even close.
All right. Is there any element of racing in this game?
No.
No.
Fuck.
Is this game old as shit?
Old as shit. That's a
first,
kind of
first 2 years. Did it come out within the first 2 years?
Let's see.
Probably did.
It did. Yeah, it did come out within the first 2 years. I don't know how much that'll help you, but you're at 17 next.
All right,
I'm going to
guys.
give you a big hint later
All right,
when you
guys.
get to like 19.
So everyone is trying to help us out here, right? Developer has made other PlayStation VR games. There is a lot of locomotion. It supports only the DualShock 4. It is first person. It's not a racing game, not a rhythm game. You can play it in flat screen.
No flying.
You're in a vehicle of some kind.
But he said no flying. But it's not a flying game.
No
He said you don't
flying.
fly.
Yeah. Good point.
There's no shooting. DualShock only.
Yeah. Which is why
not a
catching release,
rhythm game.
despite being a good answer that almost satisfies the stuff, it is not catch and release because that
Yeah,
has
DualShock 4
move support.
only.
That has
Is
move
this,
support.
is this game from Sergeant Frosty's childhood? Don't answer
No,
that.
it's not. You're at 18 next.
No, that's not a
Doesn't
real
help us at
question.
all.
I answered
Uh,
it. Okay, fine. All right. Then you're
Okay.
at 17.
Okay, early PSVR game, first 2 years.
Is it a puzzle game?
Nope.
God damn! What? This is like some weird.
Oh, hell yeah, it is. Oh, hell yeah, it is. Yeah, it is, dude.
This is some weird story.
But I will say, although usually people don't guess my weird ones like this, somebody has actually already guessed it in the chat. I'm not going to say who,
Okay.
but somebody's gotten it right already.
Is it a type of esport?
No.
No, it's not Riggs.
Next one's 19.
That was the only one that I saw in the chat that I thought
Why would
satisfied.
you say esport? Why would you burn a question on that?
Because I've been paying attention to the chat, and
hold
that was
on.
and Riggs was the only one that.
Oh, it could be Trover.
No,
It's a platformer.
no, you're not in a
It could be
vehicle.
Trover. Yeah, you are. You're in a sure, kind of. Well,
Okay.
Trover didn't.
But-
Trover came out 2019.
And also, yeah, and for
Trover
the sake of this game, I would call Trover a third person game, despite the fact that like Astrobot and Moss, there's a first person.
You're technically embodied in some way.
Right.
Yeah.
For the sake of this game, though, I think that would throw us off too much.
Alex Turner says time. Alex, it doesn't matter. That's just for show. We don't actually.
It's just to keep most of the game moving.
Oh no, he's trying to type Time Machine VR. Actually, is what he's trying. That's
Oh my god,
Time
that
Machine.
would be a deep cut. That would be
devious.
Oh man.
So what? We have one more question and a guess, or just a guess?
yeah. One more question.
You're at 18, so you'll be 19, 20. So one question and a guess.
All right.
Okay, let's think about this one.
Yeah, let's
And
definitely.
I'll give
think
you
about
the
this.
hint before the final
All right.
one.
Is it okay? Do you wanna ask him? Is it a platformer, Brian?
What
Hush.
what kind of game would satisfy that? What game would be a platformer in first person that only uses the DualShock 4?
Somebody said Mervils. Chairface said Mervils.
That is not
think
Marvels isn't playable in flat screen.
Oh, okay. Okay, hold on. Okay, hold on. Sorry about the dog. Let me look. He said somebody's
get
seen
rock up
it,
on the
said
mic,
it, so. Rock the mic. Okay, hold on. Let me scroll down a little bit.
I see people talking
Okay.
about some roller coaster games. Kona, you're in a truck. Oh, in a snowmobile, I guess, at one point. So that is a decent answer. But you can use the move controllers in Kona. You can't, so that doesn't help us.
Let's see here.
Ooh, 100-foot robot golf is an interesting answer.
It's not Moose Life because it's not trippy. It's not. Here They Lie. Let's see.
Wait a
No,
minute.
because that would count as trippy.
Wait.
Um,
Here They Lie is trippy.
yeah.
Oh, and yeah, 100-foot robot golf is third person, so that doesn't help us.
LA Noir has moves.
Uh-huh.
Riggs has shooting.
Good point.
I'm just going through the chat. Wolfenstein is shooting.
The Battlezone devs did make other games VR. Demon, that's Rebellion.
I should have whoever's in charge of the 20 questions should have a little buzzer for when it's like you've had enough extra time. Like the timer's been out.
Yeah.
You don't get to sit
ML
and read everything from chat. I'm
Yeah.
gonna be like,
I
come up with an answer or a question at least in the next 30 seconds.
Yeah, no, I hate when it drags out like this. We definitely need to. I just wish I had any like a list of
Well,
games.
it's because
in
you're
my head.
spinning your wheels. You're treading water. You don't know what it is. So yeah, it's
Yeah,
that's
no,
what
I
understand,
don't.
but, yeah,
I wish I had a list of like at least possibilities. Like
the
at least last time.
the hints I'm going to give you are going to be great if you just ask one more question. I guarantee it.
AJ, come
Okay,
up.
hold on.
Throw out one more question, man. It doesn't matter if it's a good one or not.
Oh well,
I would just gotta move it along.
I
that's
prefer a good one.
all. We don't even know the genre really. We know that you're in a vehicle. That's first person. There's a lot of locomotion. It's an earlier game. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Fuck me, dude.
I want to ask two different things. I want to ask, is it a horror game? And I want to ask if it's a roller coaster game.
Which one do you want to ask?
AJ, go
Gut
with
instinct.
You only got one chance.
well, roller coaster game is so. There's only a few of them.
Yeah, there's only a few. Let's go. Is it a horror game?
It is not a horror game.
Ah, shit.
All right, here's the thing. So here's a hint. There is locomotion, but it's not what you'd consider typical VR locomotion. In the strictest sense of the word, you are moving through space. And you're not always in a vehicle. Somebody in chat said, are you in a vehicle the whole time? I'm going to tell you, you're not in a vehicle the entire time.
This is ridiculous.
There are also technically several vehicles you might be in, but they don't. Here's a big hint: they don't go anywhere. Exactly.
This is insane. I'm just totally blank right now. Totally blank. Yeah, everything I'm thinking of has shooting.
Shooting, yeah.
And
Eagle, yeah, said no. These are all flying games, guys.
If you have a towel to throw in, if you got a white towel or rather a white flag somewhere, I'll accept it.
Go kart VR. Did we ask racing?
we did. It's not racing.
Not a racer. Jeez.
Yeah.
Good Lord. That's a tough one, man.
Detached. Somebody said
not a
you're not
puzzle.
out in space. I don't know, man. I for the first time ever, I think I just gotta throw in the white flag.
Completely stumped. Completely stumped.
I am
Oh my
completely
God,
stumped
are you
as
really?
well.
Want to get it?
Yeah, I'm.
Here's what it is.
Oh God. We should
Do
always
you
ask
want
if it has a
do you
physical
wanna try?
version.
Do you want to try one more?
I'm
Just
ready.
try
To,
one more. Yeah.
We can guess the game. What do you want to guess?
Toast. I'm gonna toast to winning again.
What do you want to guess, Brian? What are you thinking?
Every game I think of just doesn't fit any of these requirements. Yeah, Kramer, I thought the same thing.
You've been close to it.
He's a towel.
You've been close to it.
Did he say
the towel is not a clue? Okay.
I was like, is there a Hitchhiker's Guide game that I'm unaware of?
Was there a reason you didn't want to say Kona?
Yeah, because it uses the move controllers.
Yeah,
Kona uses moves.
It supports them.
Or DualShock.
You can if you want. Yeah,
I think it's been a while. I guess.
Yeah, I am stumped here.
All right, let's just say Kona, man. And but it's not. But let's just because we just
no.
Okay. It's just like no. I'm adding 5 more minutes.
SVR says Scraper, but there's Scraper supports everything.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Say Kona.
All right.
I don't know what to do. Here.
It's not Kona, but we're guessing Kona because we gotta fucking end the show. What's
all right? Well, it isn't Kona. You're absolutely right. You've lost again.
We won. We were right.
Here's what I'll say. Geisen is the winner of the day because he is, I believe, the first one to say Roller Coaster Dreams and still says, I still say Roller Coaster Dreams. He was the one who got it. A couple other people. I think I saw Nike Alexandria saying she knew it was a roller coaster game.
Yeah, I was thinking
people actually had it because, like, when you said locomotion, I'm like, yeah, it's. I mean, you're on like a train track on a roller coaster. Essentially, yes, it is locomotion.
But
I'm
man,
like,
it's always
you don't go anywhere. You don't go anywhere. Like you end up at the same spot. And if you were going to ask about platformers, I was going to be like, well, it's not a platform, but there are platforms in it.
Boom!
You know, you load the loading platform for that.
Listen, as difficult as that was, I like the challenge here, right? Because we need to get better at this. We need to come up with better questions that kind of like help narrow it down like sooner, faster, the whole time. So we gotta work on this. Me and AJ and even Dave when it's not his turn. We all gotta work on this, including the chat, and we're all gonna get really good at this game at some point, and I can't wait to do that.
I'll still stump you every now and then, I guarantee you. I guarantee you.
Hey, you better watch it, man, because my turn is coming up on Friday, and I'll stump the fuck out of you. I'll stump the fuck out of you. That sounds so...
Is that what your Grindr profile says? Dude, I don't know what that even means.
You don't want to know what my Grindr profile says. Guys, thank you so much, everybody out there, for hanging out with us today. We had such a good time, and I had a good time, and let's be honest, that's all that really matters. But make sure you subscribe to Dave over at Dave Station VR, subscribe to AJ over at The Underground, PSVR Underground. Thank you to all the moderators. I should really list them by name because we love you so very much, but who I will list by name is Myles Dyer, who contributes by taking over our Instagram account, and SciFiGamecatHenry, who gives us the timestamps to the show later on. So we appreciate you. We appreciate you very much. Don't forget, hit us up on patreon.com/withoutprogames if you want your name to be on that scroll over and over and over. Thank you to everybody who donated during the chat. Thank you to everybody who participated in the chat. And thank you to everybody who sat back, didn't say a goddamn word, and just watched the show. We know you're out there, and we love you all. Let's cue the cat.
Oh, first, before you start shouting the names, hold on, slow down. Real quick shout out to Myles Dyer for another thing. He did a great thing. He's been doing this stuff on his channel. Live Q&A about him dealing with anxiety, how he deals with it, how you guys can deal with it. He's a really cool guy, and he's got some good thoughts. So check out his channel beyond just him being our social media manager. He's a cool guy, and he's doing some good shit out there. Anyways, let's go. What do you want to do? What do you want to say?
I want to give a shout out to Guys on Facebook to you, LC2552 Beats, Johnny No Pockets, aka the Who Dat Game Cat. Good job, Guys. Gabriel 004, the licensed meow game cat, meow meow, meow meow, meow meow. Twitcher, the single player game cat, Zaka, Taka, Johnny Rap Out the Stray Cat, Hugh Guyver, Orbs. Old Darth, thank you for hanging out, man. Justin Cassidy, good to see you as always, my friend. It's that bearded game cat, Sage. Great to see you. Kramer3K, the non-VR game cat. Make sure you put a hashtag game cat so that we can get you on Friday, guys. Anyone that changed their name, hashtag game cat in a comment somewhere so that we can get your shout out Friday. VR Demon, what's up, my dude? Ben L of the Game Cat Army. Hello. Off-core. Jay Baynard, thank you so much, man. Donatello Dream about PSVR2 Game Cat. Aren't we all? That is the theme of this episode. Brax Bro. I agree. That was not cool at all. Not cool. Decepticon.
Yeah. Everything's great. Everything's
Delirium True VR. Thank you. Let's see. Sergeant Frosty. Thank you so much, man. Ash VR. Who else we got here? I know we got a couple more people. Muri G221.
Happy birthday to Twitcher, the single player game cat.
And happy birthday to you as well.
He might be lying. He
No,
just wants attention.
It's actually his
He just
birthday.
wants attention.
Yep.
Oh, well then, happy birthday, Twitcher.
Yeah, that's right.
Thank you guys so much, man.
Meow.